Hi everyone. Today I want to do a presentation on how to do a presentation and managing expectations of your audience. And that's really important. As somebody whose the second language, which is English, is still broken English after so many years and teaching in English. So I have found ways that I can make the presentation much more digestible and make the presentation valuable to the listeners. And I have, after having done that for several years, I've been always getting some sort of awards. Students were really happy, so I was getting really high presentation points as well by students, and they loved my classes, which I was really shocked. When I say I was pleasantly shocked and happy, to be honest. Now, what does it? What makes it good? What makes it palatable for the listeners? It doesn't matter whether your audience are students, whether your audience are employees, whether your audience are different from different background. You need to think about corporate culture. You need to think about the culture that you're in, but accept that there are similarities across. So, what are those similarities? So, we will talk through them today. And if you're interested, I can do a presentation on how to do a presentation in a second language as well, in a third language as well. So, now, having said that, you have to first of all introduce yourself. When you introduce yourself, say why you're there, what are you intending to do, and what is the agenda of this presentation. And make sure in the beginning you say, if you have any questions, I will be to answer the questions. If you want to ask in private, I will be also outside during the coffee break to come and talk, or I will be available to discuss if you want to wish so as well. So we have limited time. Just tell them that you have limited time as well, and you will present a complex issue in a short time as much as you can do. Now, once you introduce yourself, you're panning out and you're setting out expectations. You're telling them it's complex, but you're trying to condense it in a way that is palatable. But if there are any issues that they want to ask, that they have further questions, there will be opportunity to do so. So you are creating a friendly environment where there's some sort of two-way communication at the end as well. So you're letting them know, your audience know, you're happy to engage with them. And that creates, in the beginning, an expectation of a presentation that is more engaging and that is more communicative in that sense. So I would begin with definitions, even though everybody knows the definitions. So I would say, for example, I know supply chain has been defined by since 80s, but I think there's a difference between X, Y, Z, how people define it and how it has improved it and what it means today in terms of value, in terms of sustainability, in terms of reverse supply chain. So what I want to do is maybe just gather them together and maybe create something that is of value for today's needs as well. So I will attempt at that, I would say, yeah. And then after giving the definitions in a really quick way, say, but in a steady way. So I wouldn't rush it. I would go steady, and I would say, okay, now once we set this in, the complexity develops around the research topic. Or if I go and do that in the industry, I would say, now bearing in mind the complexities, I would draw the storyline of it more. So I would tailor to audiences, but still the bottom line is I am doing an engaging communication. So for example, here the way that I can engage, although there's no one in front of me, I'm thinking of somebody that is listening to me and having to think about what they can do when they are presenting. So when you're preparing your presentation, it's not dumping all what you have in your head on a paper. Whenever I did that, it was really badly experienced in the beginning of my career. It's because I wanted to give everything. I wanted to display every bit of information and knowledge. But then you have to think there's a attention span that you can control as much as you can control, and that requires the engagement of the listeners. In a presentation, you might say they can't engage fully because you are presenting and they're listening, but you're thinking and designing your presentation thinking about them. Yeah. So, for example, when I was thinking about a company setting, and I wanted to say, so this company setting was an interesting one because the workers, the employees were employees over 20 years, 18 years, and with the new system coming into the play, that created a level of expectancy of improvement, but a level of resistance as well. So what I was drawing upon is the contradictory dilemma that they were having. So what you're doing is you're setting the definitions, you're creating this story, presenting them as where they can see themselves inside the setting. Yeah. For example, you might say, Özlem, I won't use a case. Okay, let's talk about soft skills. So I might say soft skills might be different when you worked in a service-related company or manufacturing company, or soft skills might be different when you are working in a different culture or different corporate culture, or if you work in high tech, soft skills might be different than, for example, in fashion industry. So soft skills have different forms, and what are important in terms of soft skills might differ in which context we are discussing about. So, for example, then you are presenting a common understanding that we all have, that soft skills required in different contexts might be different in some other places. So what I'm referring to in soft skills might be looking in terms of procurement. And then I might highlight supply-buyer relationship, obsolescence, and other issues that are really at the core of procurement. If I have a group of procurement officers in there, yeah, so, or a group of buyers in there, so, or a group of clients of a company. So sometimes what we are doing is giving the settings. So introduction first, settings second, yeah, and then we are coming into what we add as a value to that setting. So what was the value that we added? All right. For example, in our case, the value that we added is every recruitment company was assessing technical skills, but soft skills need to be assessed as well. In senior management, soft skills are becoming more imperative in terms of promotion as well. So, but soft skills might be different at different levels as well. So we then thought, okay, let's rethink. For example, flexibility, adaptation has become much more prevalent in today's world. It wasn't like that before COVID. There was a level, but with all these turbulences that we have in the marketplace, in the contexts, in today's world, we need more innovation, we need more innovative thinking, out of box thinking people, we need more creativeness, we need more adaptability, flexibility, unlearning. So many things that we thought might be not relevant when assessed in a job recruitment sense, yeah, or in a current role when we wanted to be promoted as well. So we then created the value for these notions, why we are highlighting them. And then we might give also an output, why this has been successful, why this has gathered momentum, why this was published in Chartered Institute Purchasing and Supply magazine as a result, why then we have many recruitment companies looking into soft skills now, and how we added value to that discussion. Now, do you see? So what we have is we have introduction, we have context, we have within that context case or issue that we are discussing. Then we are trying to introduce the value, and within value, then we are discussing the output. Then we are saying, happy to discuss further input if you have any bright ideas. I will be outside having my cup of tea, happy to engage. Any insight is valuable. Just come and find me. I would love to talk to you. And that's it. So you're ending with a positive note. Now, one thing that you need to be careful of when presentation, you might see faces that are bored, you might see faces that have a problem, nothing related to you, but they are still listening. For example, when I listen, I don't look up, I make notes, but that's me. It's not, for example, it's not that I'm not engaging, but I'm making notes of it, because that's me, how I learn, how I assimilate the knowledge. It's not that I don't like the presentation, how the presenter is doing, but that's my way of tackling it. So we all are different. You have to accept that. We all have different agendas. We all have different knowledge. What you're trying to do is to get what you're there for, to explain to them in the best manner possible, and leaving the door open for engagement. And that's the most successful way of doing a presentation. It works for me brilliantly. Students like it, clients like it. It has taken me ages to be at that level. I could have done it earlier if I had this framework. So make sure, again, let me repeat, introduce, contextualize, provide value, indicate output, performance, and then close with a high note of engagement. Okay? And if you have any questions, just say hi and put your question down, or love to engage. Take care. Bye.